with a quick intro, if you don't mind. Tell us who you are and what you work on.
Okay. Hi, I'm Megan. I am the head of media and email marketing over at American Honda, and I've been at the company for just under 3 years.
I'm Marina Filippelli. I'm the CEO of Orci Advertising. We're a 39-year young, independently owned multicultural ad agency here in Los Angeles, and we've been proud partners of Honda for many, many years as an agency, and we took over the Honda Stage program about 3 or 4 years ago, and we've been partnering with Megan and her team on that for some time.
Perfect. Okay. And as a reminder, I'm Kate Terhune. I am a director of content programming here at MediaPost. And we're going to kick off with a little bit of a sizzle, yeah? All
Yeah,
right.
let's check it out.
Let's get right into it. That's a vibe.
Thanks.
All right, so let's start with the big picture. Gen Z has grown up surrounded by content. They skip ads, they distrust inauthenticity, and they expect brands to stand for something. Megan, how did this challenge shape Honda's marketing strategy?
Sure. So we know that with Gen Z, there is very little brand loyalty when it comes to pretty much everything in their life. They really just focus on following brands that stand up for the same values that they have. And so we purposely try to find avenues where we can showcase what our core values are, and oftentimes that do align with the majority of the Gen Z. So we're really just focused on, showing our brand in the same light for them, and then have them, hopefully fall in love with us. And then hopefully when they are ready to buy a car, they think of us.
Love that. But music is not new to Honda's strategy, having been a part of your DNA for years. But while some brands often dabble in the music as a short-term play, you're playing the long game. So what makes Honda's commitment different, Megan?
Yeah, so we have really leveraged music as a common language with, the kind of young buyers out there. And really, music is a kind of an identifier, right, for a lot of Gen Z. They look at the type of music, the concerts they go to, the events that they attend. The music is that soundtrack to their life, right? And they really identify by being like a Swiftie. They identify by being, Army, and I don't know, whatever other a BTS fan, right? But they oftentimes use music as part of their identity. And so, we have used music then to kind of bridge to them, like, hey, like, we too find music very valuable. We, think of music oftentimes as supplemental to the driving experience. You recognize your favorite songs in the car. You often sing along in the car. There's a lot of this symbiotic kind of opportunities, and so, yeah, we just try to use music in that sense to be part of their life.
I love that. Quick show of hands. How many of you sing along in the car when you're by yourself? Yeah.
Proud.
That's what I thought. Proud of it.
Poorly.
Yeah. I won't say I'm good.
Hence why I'm by myself.
That's right.
All right, so Marina, let's talk to you for a second. Let's talk about creative collaboration. How did Orci and Honda evolve Honda Stage to resonate more deeply with not only Gen Z, but multicultural audiences as well?
Well, first of all, it's probably not a newsflash to anyone in this room that Gen Z basically equals multicultural in a lot of ways. And so as we've partnered together and we've evolved the program, which originally started with, millennials and has pushed its way down into basically what we consider young car buyers, right? The next generation of Honda owners. We really had to look at what multicultural looked like. And as a multicultural agency, we know that it's not just about representation, right? I mean, if you looked at that reel, of course you see the representation. You see a very deep connection to different cultures in the artists that we choose, but it can't just stop there. It really has to connect the values that Honda, talks about and owns all the time around innovation, around determination, and make that connection with those multicultural audiences. And the way we do that is by being very thoughtful about the types of artists that we bring into the program and making sure that those artists not only represent multicultural diversity, but they also represent the Honda values. And so bringing that together is really what Honda Stage is about and what drives so much value from the program.
Sure. So can we take a look at how some of this magic comes to life?
Absolutely. So we wanted to show you one of the pieces. So one of the things that's unique about Honda Stage is that we don't just do performances. We absolutely do performances because that's important and that's fun. But we also want to go deeper. How do you show that alignment with brand values if you don't get to know the artist, right? And keep in mind, and the Honda Stage program is meant to be for rising stars. This has evolved over the years, and it's something that we find to be really important because that means that Honda, in the way that Megan talked about it being the soundtrack for your life, can also be the soundtrack of your music discovery process, right? So we are really looking for those artists that are on the breaking point of stardom and helping them really build their career. And so one of those artists who, when she was on our program, was very much a rising star and now is very much a household name, Grammy winner and just amazing badass overall. I'm allowed to say badass, right?
Yeah.
Is
Hell
Doechii.
yes.
So let's take a look at one of those pieces of content we did with her.
Doechii originated when I was in 6th grade. I used to get bullied a lot, and I decided to come up with that name as a defense mechanism, and I just started being a gremlin. I had like this hoodie business, and when that failed, I was like, well, I'm gonna do music, and that's gonna be what it is. I wasn't worried about, I need to save money for a rainy day. Like, no, it's raining. It is a rainy day. Like, you're already hungry. So you might as well just invest in you and your music. Being at Blake High School, I learned so much. They just taught me the basics of music. And like, music has no rules, but there are laws. And I learned the laws of music through them. I feel like I'm making music for like one person so they can feel like it's easier to be themselves. As long as I'm inspiring the world's next icons, that's all I want to do.
So you hear all those Han brand values really represented in Doechii's story, right? That determination, that challenging spirit, that innovation. So that's how we kind of pull it all together.
It's really beautiful.
Yeah, and I'm proud to say that I think about, 28, I think, of the rising stars that we've identified over the years have become Grammy winners. So, we've been really kind of working and being on the cusp of kind of those up-and-comers, and we're really happy about that.
It's definitely something to be proud of. Okay, so you've both mentioned authenticity. Megan, how do you balance choosing artists that feel culturally real and relevant while still protecting the brand from risk?
Yeah, so it is a pretty tedious process. I will not sugarcoat that because, we have to be very mindful of, these artists that we're going to be working with are going to be representing our brand, and not just the brand in the short term, but in the long term, right? A lot of the content that they're creating for us still lives on the internet today, right? And so we want to make sure that We're confident in the artists that we work with being, still aligned to the same values that we hold and have held for decades. And so it is a long process of working with a lot of our partners to find these up and coming artists. When we look at different trends in terms of up and coming genres, we have also looked at demographics as well. Marina mentioned that earlier. We've looked at demographics of the young buyer segment and where they're starting to go, and again, a lot of the interests that they have, and start to pinpoint, okay, this is maybe the genre we want to go heavy in this year. These are the artists that we're considering, and these are some of the opportunities. Like maybe we know that they're going to go on tour soon, that sort of thing.
Yeah, I would just add that, for us, brand safety is a conversation, right? It's not a hard, fast rule. To Megan's point, it can be tedious because we put a lot of thought into it and put a lot of care into making sure that those alignments are there. At the same time, we don't want to be so risk-averse and shy about telling artist stories that we miss out on really important opportunities. So it is, again, it's a push and pull of what is the right fit. We want to always protect the brand, and we always, at the same time, want to make sure that we are having those conversations with our audience, right? That is how culture is made. So a really good example of that is we have these behind-the-scenes type of content so that the artists can really tell their stories. As I was mentioning earlier, it is really important that we talk about their role, their path. And so let's show another piece of content that I think is really relevant to that in terms of someone that really embodies, I think, a strong personality and not shying away from being herself, but at the same time really aligns well with Honda's values.
I first discovered my love for music in the womb. My mother was a singer, my biological father sang. It was just sort of always there. I saw a few artists in concert and I was like, yeah, I want to do that. And no one ever told me that I couldn't. I was so oblivious to disbelief. I was like, why can't I have it? I was really good in school, but I just wanted to be on TV.
It's gonna be the money shot.
I was one of the first people to go viral singing the dictionary.
And that I could sing the dictionary. It might not be very entertaining, but I'm gonna do it.
Superpowers is the first song of my album. In a world that is so negative, it is a superpower to maintain your light and to walk in brightness. Worry about yourself, don't worry about nothing else. Don't let nobody make you feel guilty. Just go do what makes you happy.
Bye.
And I just want to add with, great.
Yes, that's great.
Also, another artist that we highlighted before she won her Grammys this past year. And also an artist that, really kind of started off as a writer. She's not a songwriter, I should say, and not necessarily in front of the camera, and then decided to kind of pivot into being in front of the camera. So, we were talking to her throughout kind of like that journey with her.
That's beautiful. So it seems that music discovery is an important part of the strategy. Can you talk to us about why championing new voices makes sense?
I mean, discovery really is kind of the magic sauce of it all in a lot of ways, because it's the thing that really, besides the values that we've been talking about, it's the thing that really connects the brand to our future young buyers. And the reason for that is, I think, I would be surprised if anyone in this room hasn't had a moment where they found an artist before anybody else did, right? Before their friends did, before they got famous. And you feel that sense of pride. And I always tell this story, Megan's probably bored of it already, but it's a true story, that I actually randomly stumbled upon Adele in her first album before anybody knew Adele. And I followed her career and just watched her become the Adele that we know today. And it's just an amazing feeling to go through that discovery process with someone who's working really hard to be successful and to hone their craft. And so when you're able to take your brand and associate it with that beautiful moment of discovery, that's everything. That is the magic of branding, right? To be able to say to someone, hey, you didn't know this artist, before Honda stage, and now they're on, the Super Bowl. And you know that you made that connection with that artist on Honda stage first, and it goes a really long way. And so another example of that we'll show real quick. Her name is Joaquina, and she just won the Best New Artist at the Latin Grammys. She's very young, and it's very exciting, and you never know. She might be another Rosalia, who, by the way, was also on our program.
Oh.
I first discovered my love for music when I was really young. I was about 3 years old, and that's when I started playing my first instrument. Poetry has influenced my songwriting in amazing ways just because I've always been like a book nerd. I started writing songs when I was around like 13 in my bedroom. It's like a puzzle for me, seeing how the words match. And a lot of my songs are like personal stories and kind of letters to myself. I always had like a really thin voice. It took me a while to accept that that was just part of the characteristic of my voice, and that was also beautiful, and that I could train that. I've always dreamt of doing this and releasing my music and having people in real life connect to it. It literally makes me want to cry talking about it, because having people that actually care is crazy to me.
Oh, that's so cute. I love that.
Look out for her.
Oh, love it. So I feel that this works. It feels so good. It feels emotional. It feels like it's really got to resonate. But let's talk about actual results. Can you tell me a little bit about how you measure this?
Yeah, so we syndicate a lot of this content on social. We syndicate it on YouTube, and we have seen huge success. It's 4x our media benchmarks. We've had a increase of 100% year-over-year growth on our video views. I mean, we've been able to take a lot of the kind of audiences that are watching this content, whether, like I said, social or a video platform, and bring them kind of back into our ecosystem to hopefully then remarket to them when things are right and we have a car that makes sense for them. Oftentimes we've been using, the Civic or the HRV, our entry-level models to really kind of talk to these younger audiences. And so, hopefully, we haven't done a full match back, but that is the hope that we'll eventually get there, to see if we can actually pinpoint a one-to-one sale, but we'll get there.
Yeah, and I think it's worth noting that particularly with this audience, the harder you push, the more they recoil in some ways. So we have to be very careful with how we integrate the product and the brand, and I think you can see that we straddle it. We've done a really great job over the last few years of really bringing up that brand presence without it feeling inauthentic. We integrate the car, especially when we try to find artists that actually are Honda lovers or owners themselves, and that really helps, obviously, because then it does come very naturally and we make those true connections. But in general, we've really seen a huge impact in how we've been branding the content. We've seen 200% year-over-year favorability increase among Gen Z specifically. So that's pretty big for us, because you know that you are building this loyalty relationship with them, to Megan's point, so that later when you do market them more directly with product, they're more open to it. So it is very much a long game, but we have a lot of really great metrics that are associated with the campaign.
Astounding results, really incredible. Okay, so knowing that this program has run for over a decade, I imagine keeping it fresh is challenging. How do you do that? And what is next for Honda Stage?
Yeah, so we know, and we kind of talked about it, right? We're trying to tap into kind of other interests outside of music that we start to see in genres that are starting to kind of percolate, that maybe aren't as mainstream. So that's how we've been keeping it fresh. I will say that we are now starting to evolve into more than just music. It's going to look at the lifestyle around music. So, people are oftentimes really interested in understanding the set designer for the music video. They're interested in the choreographer. They're interested in the makeup artist. I mean, a lot of the teams behind the scenes are starting to get a lot more interest in them. And we actually had, forgive me, brain fart right now, but we had an artist with Billboard who actually brought in their producer into our video, and it just so happened that he was also in a Kendrick Lamar song. So, like,
Are you really having, or are you trying to bait me to say it?
You can say it.
Say it.
Mustard?
Do you mean mustard?
Do you mean mustard?
That's right. And so we've, and that's a producer. We don't normally focus on producers, but now it's like, okay, we're going to start to expand beyond just the artist into other things. And I think this is where we're going to show.
We're going to show what we're into now, which is a little different.
And get rid of your stuff.
Welcome to IDL. Welcome to the Honda stage. Okay.
Oh, baby, I wanted you, wanted us. Baby, why'd you have to love me like that? I gave you my heart, you tore it apart. Don't know why you had to hurt me like that. 'Cause now I'm messed up, drinking non-stop, just trying to forget you and everything we said. But I can't seem to get these thoughts out of my head. Baby, why'd you have to love me like that? Love me like that. Oh, staying inside in my bed. Baby, why'd you have to love me
Can we give a big thank you to Honda for us? Hey, let's go. All right.
You had to hurt me like that.
So for those that are not in the know, Steezy is an app where you can learn dance. And it's not your typical ballet, but they do teach a lot of classes. And we had kicked off a partnership with Steezy where we created a dance battle opportunity between 3 different choreographers. And so once we had that program, it was really successful. We got a lot of engagement, and then it moved and evolved into this new program that the founders of Steezy decided to kick off, which is the International Dance League. And they just got, I think, Series A funding to come back with the next iteration next year. But we were one of the inaugural partners and kicked off the evolution of Honda Stage with now dance.
That is so cool. I was just thinking, I wish I could dance like that. Looks like
Yeah, me too.
Try the competition.
Me too.
Try the app. Maybe they'll.
Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know if can teach me that, but
No promises.
I'm gonna try. I'll come back next year and maybe, no, I'm just kidding.
Next year we all dance on stage.
Now there is some content. All right, so last question before we hit the audience up for their Q&A. What advice would you give to other marketers trying to connect with younger audiences in more credible and creative ways?
Yes, authenticity. I know we hear it all the time, but it really is true, right? We need to make sure you have to understand who your audience is, who you're really trying to reach and grab and get them interested into your product, and understand the nuances to all of their interests, right? It's not just music, and it's not just basketball or whatever. There could be very specific things within each of those interests that then can lead to really unique insights that could shape your campaigns. And so as long as you kind of dig into that and stay authentic to that interest, it will help. It will pay in spades.
Good advice. Okay.
Listen. Just listen. Listen to the audience themselves. Listen to who you want to be marketing to. Culture is a two-way street. You have to work with them and not just tell them what you think is right for them, and find those places where it really meets your brand. So,
Absolutely. Okay, thank you both.
All right. I have a question, actually. It's Tanya over here. I've got the mic, so if anybody else has a question, just raise your hand. Does it sometimes become unintentionally intergenerational? Like you might be targeting a younger audience, but then somehow you end up getting little siblings, parents,
Moms like me who want to
Yeah,
feel
cool moms, yeah.
Me too.
Same.
Yes, yes, and really, we've reframed everything to a young buyer segment, because at the end of the day, the first-time car buyer, the age has aged up. It's mid-30s now, and so last I checked, mid-30s is technically a millennial, on the cusp. And so, you know, yes, it has kind of, we may be going after Gen Z intentionally, but in the grand scheme of it all, we end up capturing a broader audience. And that's like the gravy on top, right? The extra.
Got a question over here. Hi, I'm Jill Gutierrez from GSTV. I had a question about, so definitely, I love the video, the visuals, beautiful. So you can tell Gen Z is definitely a focus, like you said. Are you finding, like I'm more curious, are they more attracted to a specific vehicle? Is it more of a mentality? I guess I'm trying to understand like also the Gen Z audience and like what catches their attention, because you know it used to be 3 seconds, now you might have 1 second. For Honda, what do you think it is, or what have you seen maybe through studies or insights, what resonates with them?
I think one of the things is, and it kind of almost goes back to that 3-second thing, you get them in with the content first, right? You get them in knowing that oh gosh, I really want to look at that. And then that's when we very subtly and very organically say, oh, and actually this person drives a Civic, right? I think to Megan's point, we really do focus on the entry-level vehicles for Honda typically with this audience. So that is our Civics and our HRVs. However, I will say that sometimes it really has to do with what the artist knows and loves. We've had an artist that even though she was really young, she loved her CRV. And she took it everywhere, and she had a whole bunch of them. So we made, we actually allowed her to use her own CRV in the content. So I think it's really about making it more about the content. Now, in terms of what they're gravitating to, we are seeing the entry levels being, the ones that are really exciting them. Civic is still really just very exciting, even for this up and coming generation. It's the gift that keeps on giving.
Well, that's because you can style it to your personality, right? Still, it's one of the few cars that still has a lot of aftermarket that really can lean itself to, the Gen Z's desire to showcase their own identity. So yeah, we continue to go that route.
Sure. Okay, well, thank you, Megan Amic and Marina Filippelli. Let's give one more round of applause to these two.
Thank you.
Thank you.